Hello YouTube. Tamriel is full of leaders, big and small, strong and weak. Over the course of our playtimes we interact with many of them, from the Emperors of Tamriel to Skyrim's Jarls. Now, these Jarls of Skyrim each rule their own hold or region of the province and are a fascinating bunch. However, today in this short video I want to talk to you about someone from Skyrim's history that many don't know about, a man named Fenral, Skyrim's self-styled Jarl of the Wilds. So, let's roll the intro and see what he's all about. So, Fenral, he's a figure from Skyrim's history who lived during the middle of the Second Era, during the Three Banners War, which we see happening in the backdrop of the Elder Scrolls Online. During this time, Tamriel was being torn apart by wars. Many of the guard and soldiers around the continent were called away from their posts in order to fight in the war effort in central Cyrodiil, where the three great alliances, the Altmerry Dominion, the Daggerfall Covenant and the Ebonheart Pact, battled over the fate of the continent during the Plane Melt. In such chaotic times, and due to this massive call-up for soldiers all around Tamriel, there aren't many soldiers left in the continent to keep order and keep the citizens safe from bandits and the like in the provinces behind the front lines. So crime and lawlessness surged in many places after the start of the Three Banners War. That left many to their own devices, villages left without protection, roads left unpatrolled and unsafe, and bandits left free to roam in the wilds. All the while, many of the Jarls did not have the men or funds to deal with them. This is where Fenral's story comes into play. This mysterious Nord, whom we encounter first in the new Elder Scrolls board game, Betrayal of the Second Era, has taken the self-styled title of Skyrim's Jarl of the Wilds, as he took it upon himself to provide for those in the wilds who could not provide for themselves without soldiers keeping the province safe. He protects the forgotten people in the wilds, who the actual Jarls cannot be bothered to help. We don't know much about his past or what he did before, but I'm willing to speculate that this man has come from the same forgotten people living in the wilds who he now tries to protect. A capable exile, perhaps by choice, who lived in the wilds for a long time and now feels responsible for those others living in the wilds and those traveling the roads, as no others are protecting them. Although, admittedly, we know nothing about his past, so it might also be possible that he's perhaps a former military general or someone from the city just looking to protect people in the wild. We simply don't know. Now, I was able to ask the writers of the game some questions for this video, and they tell me that he, at this time, is likely not really looking at what the other Jarls are doing, neither is he really someone who cares about the politics behind what's happening, nor is he looking to get power for himself or be recognized as an actual Jarl. He is simply focusing on what he sees as the right thing to do. Help those people in need at a time when there's no others capable to do so. Meanwhile, the other Jarls of the province don't really think much of him at all, and they obviously don't see him as an actual Jarl. And he mostly just concerns himself with the people and things that they demonstrated not to be bothered by. But his mentality of no matter what others are doing, I will do the right thing by helping people, that has caught on, as after some time we can see that in the game he has amassed quite a following, as he has gathered many others who had lived in the wilderness around him, helping him keep the roads and wilds somewhat safe and caring for those living within it. It's likely because of this big following that he earned his title of Jarl of the Wilds, and perhaps it were even these followers who first started calling him so. As from the game and from the emails that I exchanged with the game's writers team, I did not really get the impression that he is a particularly vain individual who would care for such a title. In fact, he still seems to live a somewhat sober life despite being surrounded by many followers. He does not seem to want to construct some palace or anything like that for himself, as he and his men simply move around the province, living in camps, helping people and then moving on, which makes his ultimate end actually quite tragic. Because you see, in the end his following becomes so big that some around Skyrim do start to see him as a threat, specifically the main villain of the game, a wood elf named Deslandra. To see what she was all about, I recommend watching my video on Betrayal of the Second Era's main story, that's in the description of this video. Anyway, as someone trying to bring their sinister plans into fruition in Skyrim, a Jarl of the Wilds with a big following trying to prevent bad things from happening in the wilds is a threat to you. So she tries to create some fake evidence, trying to link him with working with some vampires, hoping that the Altmerry spy organization, the Eyes of the Queen, will start to see him as a threat to their operations in the province and end up taking him out. This works, and the Eyes of the Queen, by hiring the Dark Brotherhood, managed to assassinate the Jarl of the Wilds while also managing to implicate the Reachmen in the incident. They specifically implicate a guy called Break the Bloody, who plays a role in several other stories in the game and who is kinda the antagonist to the Eyes of the Queen questline. Now, of course, once the assassination is done, you find out that the Jarl of the Wilds was never working with vampires lurking in Blackreach and was simply trying to aid scholars and miners who had set up shop in one of Blackreach's western caverns, as they too were apparently abandoned by the traditional authorities the moment the war broke out. So in the end, a good man lies dead and the villain got exactly what they wanted, except for the fact that discovering the fake evidence as a spy for the Dominion can be one of the routes for a player towards foiling the main villain's plan in the game. So in the very end, the villain did not get what she wanted, but unfortunately despite that, with Fenral Kienric's death, Skyrim's wilds would remain unsafe until after the war. Although I think it's likely that if he indeed managed to stay alive and continue to gain following in the wilds, some Jarl or another would probably in the end take notice, and if he's unlucky and the Jarl is a jealous type of Jarl, he might have had him assassinated anyway, but hey, that's just speculation. Anyway, that was the story of the Jarl of the Wilds. Huge thanks to Chip Theory Games for sending me a preview copy of the game and crucially for allowing me to ask questions to their writers about this kind of thing. It really gives me a unique opportunity to talk about the lore and I'm very grateful for that, as it gives a lot of insight. By the way, just like I said in my original video, they never forced me to make any content on the game and gave me every opportunity to cover the game on my terms, so this is not a sponsorship in that sense, but still, if you're interested in the game, be sure to check out Betrayal of the Second Era's page, which is in the description. It adds a ton of lore, all greenlit and checked by Bethesda, and the game is probably going to give you a good time if you're an Elder Scrolls fan and a fan of board games, so be sure to check the game out. Anyway, I do hope that I managed to teach you something new about the Elder Scrolls universe today, and if I did, why not give the video a like, as that's how YouTube determines which content is worthy and which content is not. Also, I know this video is kinda short, but I was working on a Dragon Cult video, which wasn't going too great, as I might have to revise the entire script, so that's why I did this video today. I still hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you're looking forward to the next video on the Dragon Cult, which I hope will release next week, but hey, I've been proven unreliable before. That being said, all there's left for me to do is to vocally thank my top Patreon supporters. Mr. Bernardo Binda, His Soul, Gabriel Binda, Doji, K-Legend M, King Chris, Lance Vandertooth, Volker of Argonia, RP the Beast, Devin Mattingly, Rakai, and Sword of Bushido. They and all the others on screen make my videos possible, and for that I am very grateful. That said, I'll see all of you in the next Elder Scrolls lore video, probably next week. Bye bye.